Welcome to Ask the Experts, brought to you by DFW's highly respected and award-winning Shoemaker Mortgage team with Dallas-Fort Worth's top experts in wealth management, air conditioner repair, personal injury law, foundation repair, mortgages, and family law, plus many more. This is Ask the Experts here on Talk Radio 1190. What we do on this show, well, we interview local prominent professionals here in the beautiful Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. On what? Well, their area of expertise, of course. I'm the host of the show today. My name's Matt Cather, and joining me on today's show, the gentleman at Ecoscape Foundation. We have Matt Burns in the studio. Before we get to him, you can find him online at ecoscapefoundation.com. That's ecoscapefoundation.com. You can also give them a call. They'd love to hear from you. It's 972-210-1494. That's 972-210-1494. Matt, welcome to the show. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, Matt. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. I'm really excited to talk to you today. It's your second time being in here. We got a lot of great information to get to, and because of that, let's kind of set the stage for people. Give them a little overview of what you guys are all about at Ecoscape, just in case they missed the last show. I hope they didn't, because there's a lot of good information, but we're going to touch on a lot of stuff today. So go ahead.
Well, thankfully, we just had our 26th birthday this last October 4th, so we're real happy about that. But we are a foundation repair company here in North Texas. We also do a little bit of drainage, windows, things of that. But we always like to stick to foundation. That's our bread and butter. It's what we know the best. On top of that, foundation needs are rampant in North Texas. So that's one of the reasons we like to do the show, is primarily from an education perspective. For people that don't know about foundation repair, this is a great source of information. On the last show, I said I'm a proponent of everybody being an expert themselves, and this show is the way to do it.
Well, this is why we got you on. You are the expert in this field, and we're excited to get into things. I know things have been really busy for you guys lately, so that's great news too.
Yes, it is. We just got done with the Texas State Fair. It was crazy in a good way.
Yeah.
So we're real thankful for that. You know, now that we've wrapped that up, we're all kind of begging for a break. But in this business, you never get that break. So we're just going to keep on trucking along and seeing what the future has in store for us.
Perfect. Well, let's jump right into things and get into a little bit of questions. I know we got a lot of information to get to.
Right.
We'll kick things off and kind of start it off with a basic one, but a very important one. How would someone know, or if I would know, if I have a foundation problem?
This was a question that we answered the last show, and I'm glad that it's being asked again, because it's probably the second most asked question that we get. So on the exterior of the house, what are things to look for? Cracked bricks, separating windows, waves in the roof line, trim boards coming loose, chips of concrete coming undone. On the inside, you know, the big things to look for: drywall cracks, sticking doors, windows that don't open and close all that well, broken tiles. Those are things that every homeowner should pay attention to. I always ask people, you know, take 10 minutes, walk around the outside of your house, walk through your house with a magnifying glass, essentially. Look for these problems, because if you can intervene before they become serious, not only is the procedure a lot less chaotic, the price tag is significantly cheaper. So prevention is always cheaper than reaction.
I know when we talk about these things, people hear about foundations, and one of the main questions always is money, cost.
Right.
What are you looking at in terms of cost for something like this?
Every single house is different. So we could have one house that takes, let's just say, $1,000. We have the house literally next door. It could take $50,000. Every scenario is different.
Yeah.
Every repair recommendation is different. There are no two houses, one that are built the same and two that have the same foundation problem. So in regards to price, what are the range? $1,000 to $50,000. We just don't know. That's why we always tell our customers, if you think you're having a problem, give us a call. We offer a free service to homeowners to come out. We measure the entire property, diagnose any situations. If there's not a problem, we won't hesitate to tell you. And if there is a problem, we'll give you the correct repair plan along with an exact price. You're trusting us to be professionals. Professionals don't give bids or estimates. We give exact prices. Professionals know what things cost so that there's zero guesswork about what it's going to cost to repair your problem and make it a thing of the past.
And I'm sure one of the things is the key when it comes to cost is if you do see something that is questionable, that's why you need to reach out immediately because you don't want it to get worse. And then I'm sure that probably plays into the cost being a little bit, going up.
Exactly.
So keep an eye out.
Exactly. And, listening to the last show, the gentleman with the air conditioning, he's right. Some of these things in the home can be some of the most expensive things that you ever purchase, even more so than a new car. This is no different. I mean, if we're potentially talking $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for a repair, that's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. If you can even cut that in half, you're saving so much money. And a lot of customers say, well, how am I supposed to pay for this? That's a lot to dish out at one time. That's why companies like ours offer the financing that we do, is because we know that life is expensive, that putting fuel in the car is expensive, groceries are expensive.
Yeah.
You don't need any more expenses that you can't handle, but at the same time, foundation repair is one of those things you should not wait to deal with it. It will only get worse and cost you more money. So financing has been a great tool for our company to help these customers bridge the gap between the repair and actually moving forward with it.
Let's talk about the repairs itself. How long does it tend to take for a repair to could be completed, and what all has to be done?
Well, in most scenarios, the repair is done between 1 and 2 days. It's very fast.
That's fantastic.
Oh, it's great, and that's attributed to two things. One, our instrumentation and our technology. There has been such advancements in the way that we do this in the past 15 to 20 years that it has really sped up the process. The second thing is the professionalism of our installation crews. We only hire the best guys. They're not guys that we pick up down the street corner. They're trained by us. They're employed by us because we expect perfect results. And to get that level of perfection, you have to have guys that are doing things the way that you want them done. So we don't have guys that are lollygagging around on the job sites. They're there for one job, and that is to complete it.
Yeah.
Period. Now, don't get me wrong. We have some of those projects that can extend to longer than a day or two, but those are usually the really, really big projects. We've had one not too long ago that took us almost 2 weeks to complete just because of the number of piers that went inside the house and everything that had to be done. But even then, by the time we got done, you could barely tell we were there, with an exception of a little disturbed dirt around the outside of the house.
In 2 weeks, that's pretty uncommon overall.
Oh, I'd say the 2 week job times, we have maybe 2 or 3 of those a year.
Okay.
I mean, they're projects that are so massive, usually commercial projects that are so massive that it's like all hands on deck type of situation.
Yeah.
But I'd say for most residential homes, a day or two. And everybody has that moment in the middle of the project where they go, oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into, when they see a pile of dirt that's taller than they are in their front yard. But by the time we get done with that project, like I said, with a little bit of exposed dirt, you can barely tell we were there.
Now, you mentioned something in regards to pier, an interior pier. What is that?
So in houses that are damaged severely, what tends to happen is it can slope so bad, the foundation can slope so bad, that if we try to put just piers on the exterior of the house, what'll happen is it'll create like a bowling effect in the middle of the room. So to accurately get that foundation to be level, essentially you have to come inside, pull up the flooring, bust a hole in the concrete, and put it underneath a grade beam on the inside, which that doesn't happen very often. I'd say about 30% of the time homes need an interior pier, usually because they've been neglected because they wait.
Yeah.
But that's kind of an extreme scenario. If you can get to it before that point, that's always best, because a lot of people say, well, I don't want to do the interior pier. Well, I understand that's a pretty big endeavor, got to move furniture, pull floors up, all that kind of stuff. But you're not doing the project right. There's no point in doing the project unless you're going to do it right the first time. To add, once again, you're trusting us to be the professional, and I know deep down in what I know of this business, that's doing it wrong. And to be very blunt, I would rather walk away from the project than do it wrong just because you don't want to tear your floors up. I mean, our reputation is worth more than a little bit of money that we're going to earn on your job. It's just not worth dealing with it. But I always say to people, if you think you've got a problem, please, please, please do not hesitate to call us. Don't hesitate to email us. Even if you have questions, we can come out. It's a free service. Take a look around. Make sure that what your suspicion is either real or not. Just because a home is the biggest investment most people make, normally.
Absolutely.
And you want to protect that investment. And you don't want to neglect the foundation because it can lead to a bunch of other problems if it's left unattended.
And that kind of plays into next, if what happens if you wait to fix the problem. I mean, you kind of touched on it. We'll build off of it. That's where the prices goes up and a pier comes into play because you waited too long.
Right. Well, not only does the price go up on our end, it can actually damage other things that are unrelated to foundation repair. Meaning,
then you got a whole nother problem on your hands.
It can turn into a disaster if you're not careful. And what is the primary thing? Plumbing pipes. So a house can move so much that it can actually break sewer lines. And I'd say 8 out of 10 times it's sewer lines. Why? There's no meter on it and it's not pressurized. You'll never know that the sewer line is broken unless there's a complete block or a plumbing company checks it. So you could be having sewage going underneath your house, causing problems that you never knew happened. And in turn, when we come in to fix the foundation, we can actually damage those pipes more because you've neglected it so long. So we're looking at now we've increased the number of piers. You've increased the probability of an interior pier. You could potentially be looking at a plumbing problem as well. And in certain scenarios, you see roofs separate, causing roofing problems. I've seen a house that was so bad that the wiring had actually pulled itself out of an electrical socket in the wall because the house had moved so much. So you can really get into a can of worms that you don't want to deal with by neglecting this situation.
Guys, we're talking with Matt Burns of EcoScapeFoundation.com, or Ecoscape. The website is EcoScapeFoundation.com. Sorry about that. Phone number if you want to reach out for their services. Like I said, they'd love to hear from you. Even if you just got a couple questions for them, they'd love to hear from you. 972-210-1494. That's 972-210-1494. Their office is located in Dallas, Texas. We got to take a quick break here on Ask the Experts, just real quick, and then we can come back. We're going to pick up where we left off with Matt Burns of Ecoscape Foundation. We got a lot of information to get to on the other side, so stay tuned, folks. This is Ask the Experts here on Talk Radio 1190. We'll be right back after the break.
Ecoscape Foundation and Home Services is an expert foundation repair company offering home improvement services to Dallas-Fort Worth homeowners. Without the proper attention, foundation issues can cause extensive delays or derail what seem like the simplest of renovation projects. At Ecoscape, they can quickly diagnose and repair any type of foundation damage, often in as little as a few days. They offer a level of expertise that their competitors can't match, and they tackle any type or size of project for homeowners like you throughout the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And they stand behind their work with a no-nonsense limited lifetime warranty for your peace of mind. Don't settle for a foundation repair company that overpromises and underdelivers. Contact Ecoscape Foundation today and let them demonstrate why homeowners throughout the Dallas-Fort Worth area look to Ecoscape Foundation, where financing is available for home upgrades and foundation repairs, by calling them at 972-210-1494. Mention you heard this ad and receive $500 off your project.
Welcome back, folks. This is Ask the Experts here on Talk Radio 1190. We interview local prominent professionals here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex on their area of expertise. I'm the host of the show, Matt Cather, and joining me on today's show, Matt Burns of Ecoscape Foundation. Great to have him back in studio. Great to see him. Before we get back to him, a lot of information to get to. It's EcoScapeFoundation.com, EcoScapeFoundation.com, 972-210-1494. That's 972-210-1494 is the phone number you can find them at. Like I said, reach out to them. Even if you just got a couple questions, they'd love to take your call and break things down for you. But let's jump right back into it, Matt. In regards to, I know we've been talking a lot, but let's talk about other projects. What can you do before fixing the foundation?
The easy answer is you can do whatever you want, but you shouldn't.
Okay.
Because the foundation is the most important thing when it comes to the structural integrity of the house. So think about it like this. If you go tile a bathroom or do backsplash in the kitchen, there's a high probability that if the house is continuing to move, that you're going to wake up one day and those things are cracked. And you're going to go, what in the world? This must have been an installation issue. And it's not. It's actually the house moving again. Same thing that if you do these projects and then decide to have the foundation fixed, there's a high probability that I could break those things. I saw a customer, unfortunately, they put like $20,000 worth of brand new cabinetry in their kitchen. We turned around, they brought us in a week later to fix that foundation, and we just looked at them like, we know what's going to happen here. And they told us to go ahead and do it anyways. The tops where the cabinets met the roof line separated about 2 inches.
That's insane.
Oh, it was horrible to see that because you just feel for them. But I've even seen some customers that they go and get a roofing claim done because of hail. Then we turn around and lift the foundation, and it actually induces a roof leak. And it's just never a good idea to do anything before the foundation is straight. Same thing with floors. I've had customers that do wood floors in their house. We turn around and lift the house, and now there's gaps in it, or it's bowed. I've seen carpet get ripples in it and have to be restretched, all because they put the buggy before the horse. This is the number one thing that should be on your repair list is foundation repair. And I'm not just saying that because, I'm here for a foundation company. I'm saying that because if you think about it from a common sense perspective, it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
That you have to get everything straightened out foundation-wise before you can do any type of cosmetic upgrades.
Makes complete sense.
Right.
Now, one of the things I think we all talk about, this is a great question, it's preventative stuff. How can you prevent, or what can you do to prevent a foundation problem?
Prevention is a word that we
tough.
hear all the time, and it's difficult to answer that question because everybody's got their little tips and tricks. First things first, there's nothing that you can do 100% that's going to prevent having to call somebody like us. You can push it off and do these little preventative maintenance pieces here and there, and it may work, it may not. It really just depends on a handful of things. How is the house built? How is the landscape taken care of? Was the soil compacted during construction? Stuff like that. With that being said, how do you decrease the probability of needing guys like me? First things first, water your foundation. And a lot of people say, I got a sprinkler system. Well, yeah, a sprinkler system is better than nothing, but a sprinkler system is designed to water the grass and the shrubs. It's not designed to water the foundation. What I always recommend to people is either Walmart or Amazon's got these things. It's called a 3-port orbit timer. It runs off a set of batteries. You plug it into the hose, you set it and forget it. To add, you get those little black soaker hoses, put them 24 to 36 inches away from the house, and water religiously. When it's 1,000,000 degrees outside in the summer, 3 times a week, preferably before the sun comes up. So at my house, I set them at about 3 o'clock in the morning to turn on.
Okay.
And I kind of go in a clockwards motion. I set the timers to where it kind of makes a circle around my house. To add, yeah, it sucks having to pull them up every time you mow the yard. Welcome to Texas. There's not a whole lot I can help you with there unless you wanted to put in a dedicated drip line system. The price of that starts kind of getting out of control because you're essentially adding a whole nother zone to a sprinkler system or creating a sprinkler system to accommodate that. They work really well. They're just, my opinion, they're expensive. I'm all about best bang for the buck. So if I can spend like $100 on a timer and some hoses, and yeah, I got to replace the hoses every 2 years, that's what I'm about. Just versus every time there's an issue with the drip line system, I've got to call a professional out and pay them more money. I can handle a little hose, and most homeowners can too. That's the best thing to do, though. Water your foundation. Another thing is drainage control. A lot of people don't understand that gutters are essential to what we do for a couple of reasons. Erosion perspective. If we've got water falling directly off the house on a corner, it could cause premature erosion. To add, when you do have gutters, they need to be on a drain system. What difference does it make between the water falling off of the house versus us sending it through a pipe to the bottom of the house? So when people say, I'm going to get gutters, well, that's the first step. but you're not done. You need to at least get downspout extensions or put them into a drain, because right where that downspout is, it's going to erode the foundation right there every single time. To add, you could be essentially putting standing water in that area. So, yes, we've talked about watering, but too much water can also cause its own set of issues. It's a very fine line of moisture saturation inside the soil. And like, for example, my houses, there's big valleys in between each one. And we go out there every time we take the trash out and go, man, there's standing water here every single time. And what do you know? Now that it's cool again, guess where a drain's going? In between my house. So a lot of people think that, oh, water, get gutters, I'm done. No. Standing water is another contributor to foundation problem. So it's very crucial that if you've got standing water, to get it dealt with.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors that play into it. I think that was a key question, because a lot of people might do one thing or the other, but overlook other things. So really important there, Let's go to the insurance side of things. And I'm sure this is a common question you get in regards to homeowners insurance. Do they cover this? How does that work?
This is the number one question I get asked.
Yeah.
I'd say I answer this question probably 15 times a week. The short answer is no. I've been in this business, I've been in the home improvement business coming up on 16 years. In the amount of time I've been in the foundation business, I've had 2 customers get their insurance companies to pay for it. 2 out of tens of thousands.
Extremely rare.
Right. And one of them was a structural engineer that knew what to look for. The other person was an attorney. So what I'd recommend to people is, based off what we know of insurance covering this, the only way that they're going to cover it is if you've got an active plumbing leak and you can somehow prove that the plumbing leak has caused a foundation problem. Now, it's very hard to do that, because if you have a plumbing leak and you turn around and make a claim and then you bring guys like us out, we measure and say, yeah, there's a foundation problem. Well, you have to prove that the integrity of the foundation before the leak was good. Well, how are you going to do that if you don't already have measurements from before the plumbing leak?
Yeah, that's tough.
So I would say don't hold your breath on insurance. With that being said, I have actually seen customers that go and try and make a claim, and it clearly gets denied, and they get a nasty letter from the insurance company saying, you better get it fixed or we're dropping you, because they will be on the hook for damages that the foundation can cause. And then at that point, you're under the gun of, oh my gosh, I've got to get this fixed, or no homeowner's insurance is going to cover this thing, and I'm going to be in trouble.
We got a couple more minutes left on the show. Let's talk about that plumbing leak real quick. What is the first step? What can you do? And then we'll wrap things up here shortly.
So that's a good follow-up question to the last one.
Yeah.
The best thing to do is obviously call a plumber and get the leak dealt with. So a lot of people think, oh, if the water's actively running, yes, you want to handle that immediately. But then they go and have the plumbing completely repaired, whether it's a tunnel or something else that they have to do, pipes replaced. That's never a good idea, and here's why. If that area of the house that the plumbing leak is in has had foundation damage, then if you turn around and go fix the plumbing in that area, and then we come in after the plumber and move the house again, guess what's going to happen to that brand new pipe? It's going to break again. Why? They're laying that pipe to a crooked foundation, and it's usually a sewer line. If it's a freshwater line, they can run it in the attic and you're fine. But if the sewer line's broken and you turn around and fix it and then have the foundation straightened out, you're going to have a plumber come in right behind us and fix it again. And guess the insurance company surely is not going to pay for it at that point. Now, you can do certain things like put hangers on pipes, and in theory they work well, but I've seen them break. And I'll give you this example. I'd say about 2 years ago, we had a retired Marine Corps colonel that he had cast iron pipes in his house. He had a definitive leak in his bathroom and in his master bathroom, and the mainline pipe ran under both of them. The plumbing company came in and dug a 60-foot tunnel underneath his house and replaced the whole piece of cast iron. They put hangers on it every 20 feet when they're supposed to go about every 3 feet. So when we lifted the house again, guess what happened? It broke again.
That's wild.
On top of that, too, that plumbing company did not backfill that tunnel well enough. So what ended up happening is literally the center of the house caved into the tunnel. Now, it took about 6 months for that to happen, but it caved into the tunnel. And what did this result in? Pulling up every piece of flooring in that wing of the house, lifting it up, replacing all the flooring, and then we had to mud jack that void. I mean, the void was so large, you could literally crawl underneath this slab without excavating anything. I would say the tunnel was it had compressed 2.5 feet. It was insane. And I remember looking at him, and he's just, when we popped that hole open inside the slab to do that interior pier, he just was in disbelief that how in the world did it compress that much? Well, it's as simple. He probably hired a lesser contractor to do the plumbing work. And even then, the best contractors in plumbing that I've ever seen that do tunnels, they even have a hard time putting all that dirt back in. You're lucky to get 70% of it back in. But that's where mud jacking comes in, which that'll be a topic for the next show, mud jacking, because it's its own can of worms. But in regards to the plumbing leak, obviously you've got to, if it's a freshwater leak, you got to get the water stopped. So I would say the order of repair is diagnose the plumbing. If it's not serious, if it's a sewer leak, call a foundation company out there to do an assessment. If it needs foundation repair first, plumbing repair second, then take care of everything else on the end. Just because, I don't know about you, I'm not about doing the same work twice, especially when it comes to plumbing and what that stuff costs.
Well, we got to wrap things up here on the show. Remember, we're talking with Matt Burns of Ecoscape Foundation. Matt, let's wrap things up. Give us a little bit of closing remarks, a little key things that the main takeaway that you want people to take from this show.
The biggest thing is if you're living in North Texas, it's a matter of when, not if, that this is going to be a problem for you, unless you're just closing your eyes and being blind to it. If you think you're having a problem, please do not hesitate to call us. Even if you don't want us to come out, you just have questions, call us on the phone, send us a text message to our phone number. We're happy just to educate you on the situation. We've had some customers that are actually sick with COVID, but they're so scared about what they're doing that they'll send us pictures from their phone. And if we go, hey, this is a bit of an issue, when you get better, let's go out there and take a look. Or we look at them and go, no, it's not an issue. Here's our water recommendation. Keep an eye on it. So if you think you're having a problem, please don't hesitate to let us know. We're happy to come out and do whatever we can to help you folks out.
And remember, one more time, guys, if you do need to request get their services, essentially, 972-210-1494. That's 972-210-1494. Did you say you could call or text that number?
You sure can. So the 972-210-1494, that goes directly to our office. You can call us, send us a text.
Perfect.
If the folks at the office don't have an answer to your question, they'll either relay you to me or Josh. We're the subject matter experts here on just about everything that we do. Very rarely does Miss Rhonda ever get stumped by questions, but it does happen. Mm-hmm. And if she's not able to answer anything, then I'll call you from my cell phone number just because I'm running around town all day, and we'll get you squared away.
Fantastic. And last but not least, it's ecoscapefoundation.com. That's Ecoscape. I'm going to spell out just one time just in case, ECOSCAPE. Foundation.com. Matt, pleasure to have you back in the studio. It's good seeing you, and hopefully we can do it again here soon.
Thanks, Matt. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Guys, this has been another edition of Ask the Experts here on Talk Radio 1190. Great to have them on. We look forward to having them again. Until then, it's been another edition of Ask the Experts here on Talk Radio 1190.